Welcome to Granny Raps on the News. Most of you are used to seeing us at Granny's Place, where Granny Rocks, also known as Beth Green, plays the piano, makes us laugh, and answers our questions in profound and unexpected ways. But Beth also has a long history as a social commentator, and some of us have asked her to comment on current events as well. So tonight, we're doing a brief live stream, and the theme, Kavanaugh. There are no winners. Granny?
Well, you probably are aware that it appears that Judge Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed to the United States Supreme Court. And for many of us, this is very disturbing, not so much because of what he did, because that is not yet totally proven, but for the fact that there wasn't a thorough investigation. But I don't have to say that because you probably are already thinking that. What I want to say, though, is that in this moment, we need to realize that there are no winners, because there are never winners when we are polarized. When President Barack Obama was elected, there was such a feeling of elation that we had finally overcome racism, but we had not. Hello, Stacy. Thanks for joining me. We had not overcome racism. In fact, our current president continued to spread the malicious theory that Obama wasn't even an American citizen. There was racism against Obama. There was a backlash. Every time we move forward, there is a backlash. It's like the pendulum swing. You know, we won the right to abortion, and then the people who felt upset about that have been girding their loins to fight against that and to take that right away. And that's the way it is. You know, we go from one extreme to the other without understanding, without the conversation that we need for us to actually come together and understand why we believe what we believe and to come to some kind of human understanding. This couldn't be more obvious than in the Brett Kavanaugh event, that when we are polarized like this and we fight one another viciously, we are all losers. Now, let me be very specific about that for the moment. Let's say Brett Kavanaugh does become a Supreme Court justice, quote, for life. Well, nothing is for life. He could be impeached. I'm not saying he should be. I'm just saying he could be. So don't you think that the people are upset because they feel that there was not a significant, correct FBI investigation? You think they're just going to let this go and they're going to forget? No, they're going to be after Kavanaugh his whole time on the bench. He will be under intense scrutiny. People will be looking for him to slip up, and they will be looking for slips in his past. I don't think this is over, do you? And what about those senators who are pushing him forward? Oh, yes, they're going to have a lot of angry constituents on their hands. Now, supposing the other side had won, supposing the anti-Kavanaugh people had won, then the people who were pro-Kavanaugh would be mounting major attacks against the Democrats. It's disgusting. You are not a human being anymore. You're a Democrat, or you're a liberal, or you're a Republican, or you're whatever. And that's the way our society is now. We characterize each other in black and white images, and then we hate you. Now, I'm going to tell you something about my Facebook page. I have been attacked more often by people who do not understand a word of what I've said than I have by people who actually disagree with me. And I mean that literally. The people are constantly attacking me, not for what I say or write. Stacy says, it's a pathetic repeating cycle. You're so right. They're not attacking me for what I say, what I believe, what I write. They're attacking me for what they believe that I'm saying and thinking and writing, because they're so brainwashed that if you say anything that doesn't go along with the program, that they've already decided you're in the enemy camp. They know exactly what you're saying and they hate you. What kind of a win is that for anybody? Don't you think that we have been paying the price of our polarization and our not caring? I think we are, and I think it's going to continue. It's only going to get worse. Nobody is going to forget this moment, believe me. And if Kavanaugh had lost, nobody would forget that moment either. Now, I want to go back to the pendulum swing for a moment. Every time people take on a victory as a victory, there is a defeat. And the people who feel defeated are going to be angry, resentful, and they're going to be looking for revenge. And yes, Stacey, short-sighted. It keeps going like that. You know, you cannot win. It's like football, right? It's like we're a bunch of kids on the football field who are cheering on our team, really don't care whether or not our team cheats, doesn't care about the truth. And I want to tell you this is on all sides, because I have seen people on both sides saying vile things, being opinionated, not caring about facts because they're rooting on their team. Is that a win? Well, in the moment it's a win, but in the long term it's a loss. Now, how do you not get sucked into this when every time you open your mouth you're being attacked for not saying for saying what you're not saying? How do you get out of this pendulum swing? It's not easy. Let me tell you something. It's not easy. I myself feel pulled into that pendulum swing. I am really angry at people like Susan Collins, who I thought was really honest, or Jeff Flake. And it is hard for me to understand how they could say that this was a thorough FBI investigation. It's really hard for me to understand that. So I'm finding myself getting angry at them. I haven't heard their side, not really, but I'm already angry with them. But the point is that all those people who feel cheated out of a real investigation are not going to go away, and they're going to start mounting the next offense to bring the football into the other guy's goal. We have been taught from children to compete with one another, haven't we? We compete in every way. We compete in the classroom. We compete on the sports stadiums, and we compete in politics. It's my team, it's your team, it's my team versus your team. You would never know that human life is at stake, that the survival of well, I shouldn't say the survival of the planet, but the planet surviving as we know and love it is at stake. You would know that, because we're all wrapped up in being angry with each other and in cheering on our side and booing the other side. There are people who said that all sexual survivors should be believed. Well, that's not right. You can't just believe people because they say something. I mean, if that were true, then I don't know what I would say about myself, because I've been attacked by people who say all kinds of things and accuse me of all kinds of things. But that isn't really the point, is it? Until we get out of this competitive energy in our political arena, we are still playing high school football with a childish mentality. We are not looking honestly. We're not trying to understand. And that pendulum will continue to swing. Believe me, this is not the end, but this isn't the beginning either. This has been going on for a long time. Are we ever going to become enlightened enough to start looking at problems and trying to solve them instead of trying to win against one another? That's the question that I'm asking you tonight. How could we have solved the issue of the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh? It really seems to me that a better investigation would have been a move in that direction. But oh no, we couldn't have that, could we? Because our team had to win, whatever our team was. And the people who were saying, yes, we want an investigation, were certainly hoping that their team would win. There are no winners ever. When two children are competing and one loses, that child will never forget that. That either will crush their soul or make them even more competitive. That little kid, I never forget this, in the Little League, the last guy to strike out is shamed, is crushed, and either has to come back as a more aggressive player, or he's going to shrivel up. When are we going to stop treating each other as enemies that we have to defeat and start looking at each other as fellow human beings with needs that need to be met? Let us pray for ourselves, whether or not we have any sense of religion or spirituality, that we become more aware, more loving, more caring to one another, and get out of this pendulum swing in politics that goes on for decades and decades and decades and decades and never brings us to true well-being for any of us or the planet. Thank you for listening, and please pass this on.